So I asked ChatGPT a really generic question. I asked it to give me a coding challenge, and this was the challenge it gave me. Write a function in Python that checks if a given word is a palindrome. Remember, a palindrome is a word that reads the same backward as forward. So that's all. No context, and it just spat out this question. So since I know a bit of Python, I will be coding in Python, but you can use whatever language you know best. So, as with any coding challenge, the first thing I like to do is understand what the given problem is, and I went to Replit and just wrote it down. What is a palindrome, or how do I want to solve this? And the first thing is, what is a palindrome? A palindrome is any word that reads the same forwards and backwards, and we can see from this examples we have Eve, mom, race car, civic level, level reads the same forwards as it does backwards. So essentially, that is what a palindrome is. Next is, okay, how do I check that a word is palindrome? And the first way is I can reverse the word. So basically, this is what the word looks like. And if I reverse the word, it's still going to be the same, right? If we had something like pen, for instance, pen when reversed will give us nip. So when I compare the original word and the reversed word, I know that it is no longer a palindrome, and so I return false. However, I decided to use another method. Like, this is one way to actually approach this question. And as I wrote in my algorithm, I could do this a number of ways. I could use a for loop, a while loop, a stack, a queue, recursive function, slice, etc. However, I'm going to use two pointers to achieve this. I'm going to use the pointer method. So basically, we have the word Eve, and then I have a first pointer that starts at the beginning of the word and a second pointer that starts at the end of the word, and I basically compare, is it the same? And if it is the same, I continue, I loop forward, I move my pointer forward, and I move the last pointer, I move it forward also, or rather I move the first pointer backwards and I move the last pointer, I move it forwards, so kind of like check. And if at any point we arrive at the last word and they're all the same, I know that I have a palindrome. So just to reiterate, with a longer word, if I have the word level, for instance, so initialize, I can't speak English this morning. I initialize my pointer, first pointer here, second pointer here. So I check, are they the same? If they are the same, I move on. I move on to the next word. The next word is E, the next word is E here. And then I also check, are they the same? If they are the same, I move on to the next word, basically till I get to the last word. And if I'm at the last word and they are still the same, I know that this is a palindrome. However, let's take another word that is not a palindrome. Let's use lever. When I compare the first word and the last word, I can instantly see that they are not the same, and I do not have to continue looping through, and then I just return a false. Now this saves some time in running the program effectively more than reversed word. For reversed word, we have to run a for loop and then we are comparing. That consumes more space and time than simply using the two pointer and checking. If at any point I see that the letters are not the same, I can easily exit the program and we save time and space. So I'd argue that this approach of using two pointer is much more efficient in terms of memory and in terms of time, so space and time complexity. Now let's jump right into the code. I'm in my Replit playground, and as you can see here, I have my algorithm. It helps to just have something whenever I'm stuck, to have a look back on, oh, what was I thinking here, and then try to retrace my steps. So what I'm going to do here is to clear out any edge case. So basically, if we have a word, the first pointer is going to be at the start of the word, which is 0. This is programming, everything starts with 0. And then the last word, or the last pointer, is basically going to be the length of the word minus 1. That is our start and our end. So it's also helpful, what I like to do is to just perform a check and a trimmer. So basically, in case the word is a palindrome, but we have something like let's say we have something like mama or mom. So one of the M is in lowercase and one of the M is in uppercase, one is in lowercase. And as you can see, Replit is having all of this code suggestion, which I think is helpful, but you're not going to have that in a real coding environment. You're not going to have all of this suggestion. I actually turned it off, but I think it's still suggesting. I turned it off here because yeah, it's not helpful to have all of these suggestions at all. The point of a coding exercise is to actually exercise my brain. But I think that the most difficult part is to actually think of how to solve the problem, because basically if I do not know how to solve the problem, if I do not know what to write, I will even know what the AI is telling me here. So it doesn't matter. AI is not going to replace us, and this is just a little rant. If I don't understand what the code is saying, if I don't have an algorithm, if I do not know how I'm going to solve the problem, all of this code AI can do it, but it's not going to think for me. Anyways, that's just a digression. So the first thing I want to do is I want to convert my words. I want everything to all be lowercase. If they're all lowercase, then that's good. And I also want to trim it and remove any empty space. Okay, again, AI to the rescue to do the monotonous task. All right, now we want to go on with our code. So I want to write a loop here. So while start is less than end, basically this is going to be a loop. While start is less than end, I want to check if, oh, okay, why does this keep happening? Does anyone have any suggestion? If basically if the word at the start is not equal to the word at the end, let me see, can I turn this off? I'm going to see if I can turn this off. This is not helpful at all. Yeah, basically, so if the word at the start is not equal to the word at the end, I want to return false, because then it's not a palindrome. And however, if it's not false, I want to continue my loop. So I want my start to be incremented by 1, and I want my end to be incremented by 1. So I'm going to have that outside of my return function, not inside of my return block. So basically, if at any point this condition is not true, just return false. Otherwise, just continue running. And at the end, I'm going to return true, because basically we've gotten to the end of this code and we have not hit this condition. That means we have a palindrome and it's true. So I've gone ahead to write a test case to test my code basically. So this is the test case here. We have radar. Radar is a palindrome and we are certain that it's true. Level is a palindrome. LO is not a palindrome, so it's returning false. Race car is a palindrome. Step or no pets. Basically, I've come up with a bunch of palindromes and then just assert that it's actually correct. And then if my code is correct, all test cases should pass. So I'm going to run my test case and run that in the console. So as you can see from the console, the test cases pass. All test cases passed. Now let me go back to the code and show you that this actually works, because it's like, well, I'm saying print all test cases passed. Obviously passed. But I'm going to show you that hello world is not a palindrome. Hello world here is not a palindrome. So if I go here and say, okay, set it to true, right? And I run the code, basically now it throws an error because the test case is no longer passing. My code says that this one is false, it's not a palindrome, but the test case is saying it should be a palindrome. So in that case, we're having this failure case. So this just goes to show that basically the test is foolproof and it works, it's passing. So yeah, this is how to solve ChatGPT coding challenge. Anyways, you can look forward to more coding challenges. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way.